Welcome to your next bio class, students. Now we are going to start with the new chapter, that is chapter 12, skeleton, movement and locomotion. So in this chapter our scope of syllabus is skeleton, movement and locomotion. Basically you have to study functions of human skeleton. Then we have two types, axial and appendicular skeleton, and types of joints with reference to their location, immovable joints, slightly movable joints, all these things. So these first 2 points will be taken in next bio class, but today I am going to discuss with you something which you are already familiar with, that is joints. You all have studied this topic in junior classes, and let us once again have a look, and a part of our lesson would be completed. So as you all know that joint is the point at which two separate bones meet, or we can say the place or the point where the bones come together, that is called joint. And you all have also studied that there are three major categories of joints: movable and partially movable and freely movable. Basically in your junior classes you have studied that joints can be classified as immovable or movable, and then movable can be partially, which show little movement, or freely movable. So let's discuss first type, that is immovable joints. So as the name suggests, immovable joint means fixed joint. So in this type of joint there is no movement between the bones at all, and the example is human skull. So in your human skull, if we see, there are 8 bones, and these 8 bones are fused together with tough fibrous connective tissues, and these tissues do not allow any kind of movement. Skull as a whole, you can rotate your head, that is because of pivot joint we will study later, but in the bones of the skull will not show any kind of movement. So this is immovable joint. Example you have to write is skull. Then second is partially movable joint. Partially, as the name suggests, means they show very little movement between the bones. For example, the examples you need to study the name and the example. So here the example will be the joint between ribs. Ribs, you all know that ribs are, we have a rib cage which protect your lungs and the heart. 12 pairs of bones which form your rib cage. So between these ribs and the breastbone, you have the partially movable joints. And also the other example is between the vertebrae of your vertebral column, of your backbone. Then the third is freely movable joints, third category, where the bones can allow free movement. Now what kind of free movement, or that's free movement is to what extent? Accordingly we have further 4 kinds of movable joints. So first of all, how will you define freely movable joint? Means there is varying degree of movement, or we can say that movement is possible in all these type of joints. So depending upon the degree of movement, to what extent the bones can move, we have 4 kinds: gliding, pivot, hinge joint and ball and socket joint. So first is gliding joint. Gliding joint occurs between the bones of the wrist. You need to study the names as well as the examples. Bones of the wrist, here you can see the example. These bones in your wrist, they show gliding joint and they show movement, and the bones of the ankle on between the vertebrae also. Then next is pivot joint. Pivot joint, this is as it indicates that this joint you have studied is present in neck. Actually in your neck you have 7 bones which we call as cervical bones, and between the first cervical bone, which is called atlas, and second bone axis, we will study when we will talk about the skeleton. So between them there is a joint, we call it as pivot joint, and this pivot joint helps in your rotation of the neck from right left and right to left and left to right. Okay, so pivot joint example will be the skull is rotated on the upper end of axis vertebra. Okay, third is hinge joint, third type of movable joint, hinge joint. This joint moves like a hinge. Hinge is like a screw, just as the doors have. You can move only in one plane. For example, your fingers, you can close and open one direction, but you cannot take them back. But you can close and you can open in one direction only. This is hinge joint. So this joint is like a hinge in one plane only, just like the hinge of a door. For example, and examples, you can write elbows, your knees, you can fold your lower leg and you can straighten. Similarly, you can lift your lower arm and you can straighten, but you cannot take it back. Okay, so this is called movement in one direction, or you can say hinge joint allows movement in one direction. Examples, you can write elbow joint and your joint between the bones of the fingers, or you can say that knee joint. These are the examples. Fine. Then the fourth type is ball and socket joint. This is the joint which allows all movement in almost all directions. And this type of joint is present in your shoulders and in your hips, and we call them shoulder joint. Examples, you can note down shoulder joint and hip joint. So here, as the name suggests, ball and socket joint, the one bone acts like a socket. For example, this is one bone. This acts like a socket. There is a pit, socket, and the other bone, it fits in it like a ball. So one bone and this will fit in this. So we say ball and socket joint. Okay, and here also they have shown the same example. So you can say one bone forms a sort of ball and the other bone is forming a sort of socket. So where these bones come together, we say ball and socket joint. Examples are such kind of structures are present in your shoulders, where you have the bone of upper arm humerus, and then you have your cervical bone, and then you have the bone from your collar region. So all these bones come together. And the hip joint. In shoulder joint, the head of humerus, that is your upper bone in your upper arm, fits into the socket of shoulder girdle. And similarly in hip joint, so second example is hip joint. The large ball-like head of femur fits into the deep socket of hip girdle. So we call them girdle, or you can simply call them joints. Now, all these freely movable joints, means these ball and socket joint, hinge joints, they are also known as synovial joints. Now maybe you have studied in physical education also about the joints. If you have studied, then there also you will read the same topic, synovial joints, and this diagram is very important. Knee joint showing the synovial fluid. Synovial joints means same name for ball and socket joint or the freely movable joints. The freely movable joints stated above, like shoulder joint, knee joint, they are also called synovial joints, because there is a fluid present in these between these bones, and that fluid is called synovial fluid, which allows the free movement of these bones. Now in these types of joints, basically there are two major requirements. Which two requirements? First requirement is that, see here, firstly, they should be held firmly in position. So if they are easily movable, so it should not be that the bones can be dislocated. They should not get dislocated. So for that reason, they are held in their place tightly with the help of ligaments. See, you can see here, this red color shows the ligaments. And you have also studied that ligament is the type of connective tissue which joins the two bones. So ligaments, they keep these bones in their fixed position. At the same time, these bones allow free movement because there is a fluid present in the membrane, synovial membrane, and the fluid is called synovial fluid. Now see, firstly they should be held firmly in position, and secondly the surface coming into contact should be well lubricated. So this should be well lubricated, otherwise the bones may get friction between them. Okay, and they may produce some sounds, but it is not so because there is a fluid which acts as a lubricant. The lubricating fluid, wherever it occurs, is called synovial fluid. So what is synovial fluid? It is a lubricant, type of lubricant or lubricating fluid which allows the free movement of the bones, and hence the name is given synovial joint. So here also this diagram and this diagram are quite important. section of typical movable synovial joint. So one bone, the other bone. Ligaments will keep the bones held in place, and in between there is cartilage also, and this is the synovial membrane, and between synovial membrane there will be lubricating fluid called synovial fluid. The knee joint, for example, is a synovial joint. It is held in position by strong ligaments and is well protected by outer fibrous capsule, and the ligaments prevent dislocation. So because of these ligaments, the bones cannot be dislocated from their position, and synovial fluid contained in the sac formed of very thin synovial membrane. This serves as a cushioning or cushion between the bones. So please go through this diagram also. They will ask you to label the parts and give the functions of these parts. So there is a quick recap of joints and you can go through it from here. Okay. The next part of this chapter describes the muscles, and this also you have studied that muscles in the body, they are to provide all kind of movements, and we have skeletal framework which gives shape to our body. Muscles help to maintain body posture while we are sitting, standing, walking. Now actually all muscles are actually made up of two ends. There is a fixed end. From the part from where the muscle arises, that part is fixed end. And the other part is movable end, which pulls these muscles out, and this movable part, it is attached to the bone with the help of tendon. So there are nerve supply and obviously blood supply, and whenever they get stimulated with nerves, these muscles can contract. They contract and they come back to their original position, contract, relax, but they can never be straightened. They never become lengthened, means they cannot go beyond their length, but they can contract. So here they have described the kinds of muscles, and this also you have studied earlier, antagonistic muscles. Antagonistic muscles are those which work in pairs, means they will always work in pairs, and one such example is biceps and triceps in your upper arm. Your upper arm has, on the top you have biceps, and on below the upper arm you have triceps muscles. These biceps and triceps are also known as flexor and extensor muscles. Biceps, here it is written, they are called flexor, and triceps are called extensor muscles. So when these biceps contract, you lift your arm, means you lift your arm up, and because of the contraction of these biceps, and at the same time the triceps take their position, they elongate, they relax. Whereas when you release your arm, you have released your arm, so at that time triceps will contract and biceps will relax. So they work in pairs. So the muscles which work in pairs, they are called antagonistic muscles. Fine. So you need to study the definition of antagonistic muscles and example. So example, you can write biceps and triceps in your upper arm. Now kinds of muscles you have already studied, voluntary, involuntary and cardiac muscles in chapter 2, and many times before also you have studied. So this topic you can revise yourself. Now lever mechanism I will explain you later. So dear students, please revise this chapter, whatever is taught, means joints. This was just a recapitulation, especially these diagram and name of the joints along with examples. So till we meet in the next video, in the next session, we will complete this chapter. So till then, revise it. So thank you very much. May God bless you.